Chris, I got to tell you, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today. Everywhere I look today, in whether it's Energy Press or the Wall Street Journal or any of the popular press, or even on TV, they're talking about data center energy usage, sustainability, the impact of AI on sustainability. And it's just such an incredibly popular topic right now. I can't think of a better person to help us sort out the reality of those discussions from the rhetoric. So just to start off, as the Chief Technology Officer for Digital Realty, you help lead one of the largest global providers of cloud and digital data center solutions, with more than 300 data centers across 6 continents in 25 countries and 50 metro areas, which is an incredible span. Tell us a little bit more about the services you provide to your customers and the value proposition that you make available for them.
Absolutely, Casey, and appreciate being here. Very exciting times, to say the least, where data centers are at the epicenter of our personal lives, our professional lives, and just really what we've been doing. Digital Realty has been around for about 20 years now. This is our 20th anniversary. I've been there coming on 9 years. And so what we do is we provide what I would say is the real estate, which ultimately then entails a data center being built on that and delivering power. And so most of the time, which is why the ESG topic is so important to us, is the ability for us to provide this power to our customers. So one other metric that may be interesting to our audience is today we provide 2.5 gigawatts of power to our customers, which represents about 2.2 million homes. And so the growth of this is exponential, which, to your point, with artificial intelligence coming into light, where we have 3 gigawatts of future capacity, which, if you read the certain stats that are out in the press today, artificial intelligence needs that and more. And so the core value of what we've been delivering to our customers is steady, reliable power in a very efficient fashion all around the globe.
So when you build a new data center, how much power is it taking typically?
It depends. They come in different shapes and forms.
Yeah.
We have a single facility inside of Ashburn, Virginia, where it's about 1 million square feet.
Mm-hmm.
That represents 100 megawatts. But what's happening in the industry today is the densification of their infrastructure. So artificial intelligence is the tip of the spear, where you can do a lot more within a smaller square footage, but that power requirement is definitely jumping up.
So for perspective, 100 megawatt facility data center, that's about 80,000 homes. So that's putting in a new town
Yes.
in a year or two,
Yes.
right? So the complications of building the capacity for that, not just electricity, but everything else you need is enormous. So I know that Digital Realty has been committed to sustainability, and you've set pretty aggressive goals. Tell us a little bit about how you think about those goals, what the journey has been like for you, and what are some of the business drivers that lead you to pursue those goals?
Absolutely, Casey. And one of the things we've looked at about 15 years ago, we brought our first green data center to market. And I think, one of the things that drove us is not only just being efficient on our customers' behalf, but also understanding some of the limitations of the market, which you had referenced, where these capacity blocks of power, they represent a substantial impact, not only to the community, but the overall utility grid. What's been driving us around that 10 years ago, we really started our kind of ESG program, and how we brought that to market is just around efficiencies and being good stewards of, the resources we're, procuring on our customers' behalf and making sure that evolves. But there was kind of a couple of key drivers, demand being one of them, because of the amount of capacity we're talking about in power. And it's also critical as water as well.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to understand that demand profile and being good stewards of, how to interoperate with the community and the overall utility grid, just finding those operational efficiencies on our customers' behalf. Because one of the things that we've grown up through the years in our heritage, hyperscalers. So you name the major cloud operator,
right.
We've been serving them for many, many years. So we've seen a lot of this demand coming to market, but finding those efficiencies and not only on power, and as I referenced, water,
mm-hmm.
that's at top of mind for us. So being able to align to those goals and understanding the demand profile that was coming at us was a key driver in allowing us to do that.
So it's an interesting jigsaw that you have to solve for. But you mentioned the hyperscalers and your customers; they're demanding cleaner, not just electricity, but cleaner operations in general. How upfront are they? How much do they press when they're entering into contracts with you that's a priority for them?
No, absolutely. It's top of mind. And it's top of mind not only to the hyperscalers, but our broader 5,000 plus customers, where our complete kind of ESG profile is an important element in doing business with us. And so, we talk about PUEs in the industry. The most simplistic sense is it's like miles per gallon in your car. Like every kilowatt we take, how much actually goes to the infrastructure in the facility. But it's the WE as well, the water usage, like how much water you're bringing in to cool these facilities. And there's different technological ideations that have been happening for some time now. And with the advent of artificial intelligence, liquid's coming more into play. And so being able to deliver liquid to the facility and then ultimately to the customer in different fashions is something that is required to find further efficiencies. So one of the things is liquid is 800 times denser than air. And so in that simple step function, we're able to really cool in a more efficient fashion our customers' infrastructure. So that operational efficiency is one element of it, where because we take this power from the grid, we're able to deliver that effectively. But also to your question, the broader capabilities around, is it coming into the conversation on, how are you utilizing water and how are your broader goals being met? It's absolutely top of mind. And it's a core component, not only when we sign the initial contract, but then how we're performing overall. And so that's why our ESG report is listed on our website, and you'll see constant updates, but you'll see a lot of these new updated metrics coming to light.
Yeah. And I think what's critical in that discussion, there's no regulations forcing you to do this. The states or the federal government, whoever, maybe in different countries, right? There are some regulations, but this is customer driven. And that's an important distinction because it's not regulatorily driven in most cases. And that probably means that more staying power to these initiatives. So Chris, you'd mentioned AI and specifically generative AI really having a big impact on your business. Before we sort of dive into the sustainability impact of Gen AI, from a business perspective, how's it impacting your business, and where do you see your business heading because of these technology changes?
Yeah, and absolutely. So generative AI is definitely the key topic that we hear a lot about. We read a lot in the press. One of the things that it's doing for our business is the supply to demand imbalance. So there's a tremendous amount of demand, and the amount of power required for some of these new models coming to market is definitely putting pressure on the industry, not only data centers, but also the utilities. It's just the overall supply chain. What we've been doing for some time now is working with the utility grids and projecting. And I'd referenced earlier, we have 3 gigawatts of runway coming to market to, quite frankly, solve for not only generative AI, but the overall market. It's absolutely top of mind for us to keep that balance with the customer and with the overall utility, because there's not going to be enough at the end of the day. And so that's what's really a key driver in our business going forward.
And one of the stats that I've seen is that an AI query uses 10 times the power of a traditional search query. Now, I'm sure that curve is going to bend, and new generations of AI-enabled microprocessors will be more energy efficient. But the demand's going to go up as well as more and more businesses, people, governments start using Gen AI as part of their core processes. So it's you're kind of on a treadmill chasing that, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, just another point to add to that, right? Where we're in the state of augmentation with AI, right? Where our tasks are being augmented, our emails are being augmented. I think the next 6 to 8 months, you'll see true purpose-built AI applications, which will further drive a different type of outcome. But traditional search is definitely different today, and that's impacting our customers. But, I think for the consumer, I think it's also being more embedded in how we naturally live our day-to-day lives.
So you mentioned the backlog of electricity usage that you need. How are you thinking about getting that energy usage? And you have parameters in terms of reliability, in terms of carbon content. What are the different tools in your toolkit to try and obtain that amount of power? Because you need it, and our economy needs it to keep expanding using these technologies.
Yeah, it's one of the things I referenced. Digital has been around for 20 years, and we've been operating at a large scale and being good, stewards of the power that we get from the utility grids and continuing to work with them. Like, one of the things that really distinctly puts us apart and the industry apart is master planning. So when we go into a location, we want to, talk and work with the local, community, the local resources, and establish a plan around a campus. And so in that campus, we're very discreet in projecting out multi-year demand profiles around power, around water, and exactly how we're building out multiple data centers within that campus. That's really allowed us to work, extensively with the utility providers. But then, even that is coming under constraints, right? With sometimes generation, but most times transmission. And so we look at all types of different technologies that are becoming afforded to us, some sooner than others, but like small modular reactors is one thing we look at, and being able to embed a nuclear reactor.
So would you buy and build your own SMR at one of your data center campuses?
That's the things we're actively investigating now, right?
Yep.
Same thing with enhanced geothermal, being able to bring those in proximity, but also natural gas turbines are another thing. So there's multiple technologies coming into focus, but all options are on the table just because of the sheer demand.
And then, one of the things that I hear a lot of is that as companies like Digital Realty and others put those resources in, right, they can be a shared resource back to the grid. So when the community needs power, you have a heat wave, you have a winter storm, whatever, that can be used as a resource for the broader geographic area and community, which is incredibly valuable, and not just to the utility, but to the whole community, right? Because when there's an outage, it's devastating to the people that live there.
No, absolutely. Being able to work with the utility to balance out the grid. I mean, there's a project that we did in Ireland where we were able to take 6 megawatts of our UPS and port that back to the grid. And that represents 30,000 tons of CO2 annually being saved on that grid alone in Ireland. But you referenced earlier, one of the other things that we do, and I was just in Stockholm and Copenhagen, we do use some of the excess power during certain times of the year to power and heat some of the other local places. We also do it in Seattle as well, but just being balanced on not only what we're taking and balancing out the peaks of the grid, but then also giving back to the community any excess heat that we may have.
And of course, from my perspective, managing that is incredibly complex. So AI algorithms are going to help utilities and producers like you dispatch that power in a way that makes sense. So one last question, Chris. A lot of our listeners are very focused on climate change reporting, and they are thinking a lot about climate risk. And where are their assets that are subject to weather threats like storms or sea level changes or extreme heat events that may put excess stress on the grid? How do you need to keep these centers running. How do you think about that when you're planning? Where do I want to site them? What sorts of resiliency assets do I want to put in? It's got to be critical for your business.
No, absolutely. And, in my position, I get to spend a lot of time with customers. And so, one of the things that we always try to do is demystify all of the technological challenges that exist in, data centers and power and networking. But one of the things we built is a tool called Visualizer, which allows people to visually kind of go into a digital twin, if you will, to understand the placements of our existing facilities, the floodplains associated with them, the economic condition. I mean, there's just lots of networking pieces that are playing into that tool. So aligning to those customers and watching how that operates. But then for our business in future locations, we're constantly looking at where is power being available? Like, what is the grid, and what are the transmission lines associated with that? That's one of the things that helps us pick where these next campuses will be built. And what's nice is we have a long-term view. And I think that's what's great about Digital Realty is we really look at a market to land and expand a true campus, which allows our customers, both the big and the small, to quite frankly not worry about that next allocation of capability that's required for them to be successful. So we're always looking at, power, where is it being generated? How is it being, the transmission lines are delivering it? But then also, what are some of the other, communities that quite frankly could benefit from data centers? Because, there's a lot of, stress that we see in the market that we are constantly balancing that out.
And some good incentives to put them in the right places and both at the state and the federal level. So, well, Chris, it's been a great discussion. Thank you so much for joining us.